Hey everybody, Luap here, and let's be honest, who doesn't love a good party? I'm talking confetti, music, dancing in the streets, the works, and what better way to experience that kind of infectious energy than at a carnival? We're talking about those legendary celebrations that take over entire cities where everyone's invited and the good times just don't quit. Now I know what you're thinking, Luap, I'm busy, I can't just jet set off to some random country for a party. Well, that's why we're here. We've put together the ultimate guide to the top 20 best carnivals around the world. We're talking dates, locations, the whole shebang. Because let's face it, planning a trip around one of these bad boys takes some serious strategizing. You've got to know when to request those vacation days, book those flights, and maybe even brush up on your samba skills. Don't worry, we've got you covered. So buckle up, grab your party pants, and get ready for a wild ride as we explore the most colorful, craziest, and downright unforgettable carnivals on the planet. Let's do this. Alright folks, we're kicking things off in the city that practically invented carnival craziness, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and trust me, they don't mess around. We're talking about the legendary Rio Carnival, a 6-day extravaganza of pure unadulterated joy that explodes onto the scene every year, usually in February or March. Picture this, 2 million people day and night flooding the streets in a riot of color, music, and dance. We're talking about elaborate floats, sparkling costumes, and enough feathers to make a peacock jealous. And the energy? Forget about it. It's like the whole city is plugged into one giant pulsating party machine. And let's not forget the heart and soul of Rio Carnival, the samba. Those infectious rhythms and hypnotic moves are impossible to resist. You'll be doing the samba in your sleep after witnessing this spectacle, I guarantee it. So, if you're looking for a party that'll blow your mind and leave you with memories to last a lifetime, Rio Carnival is calling your name. Just be prepared to dance till you drop. Now, we're hopping on over to the good old US of A, where things get a little wild in the Big Easy. That's right, folks, it's Mardi Gras time in New Orleans. This city knows how to throw a party, and Mardi Gras is their pièce de résistance. For weeks leading up to Fat Tuesday, the streets of New Orleans transform into a giant, joyous free-for-all. We're talking parades, marching bands, and enough beads to fill a swimming pool. And speaking of beads, let's just say things can get a little interesting when it comes to catching those coveted throws. But Mardi Gras is more than just beads and booze. Although, let's be honest, those are pretty great. It's a celebration of life, music, and the unique spirit of New Orleans. From the soulful sounds of jazz to the spicy aromas of Cajun and Creole cuisine, Mardi Gras is a feast for the senses. So, grab your crew, throw on your best purple, green, and gold, and get ready to let the good times roll in New Orleans. Just remember, what happens in Mardi Gras stays in Mardi Gras, or at least that's what they tell me. Alright folks, buckle up because we're heading to Venice, Italy for the legendary Venice Carnival. Picture this, gondolas gliding through canals, elaborate masks concealing identities, and costumes so extravagant they'd make Liberace blush. This carnival is like stepping back in time with a history dating back to the 11th century. We're talking centuries of masked balls, parades, and enough mystery to make a detective out of anyone. And let's be honest, who hasn't fantasized about wearing a mask and living out their wildest Italian fantasies for a few days, don't worry, your secret's safe with me. Now for the important stuff. The Venice Carnival typically kicks off in February and lasts for about 2 weeks, culminating on Shrove Tuesday, the day before Lent. So if you're looking to rub elbows with masked strangers and maybe indulge in some delicious Italian food, you know when and where to be. Oh, and a little tip from me, Uncle Lou app, if you're planning on attending, book your accommodations early. Trust me, this is one party you don't want to miss, even if it means fighting off a few pigeons for a decent hotel room. Next up, we're jetting off to the Canary Islands, specifically Santa Cruz de Tenerife, Spain, for the Carnival of Santa Cruz de Tenerife. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hey, Lou Wab, another carnival? Haven't we seen enough beads and feathers? But hold your horses, folks, because this one's a real humdinger. We're talking vibrant costumes, pulsating Latin rhythms, and enough energy to power a small city. Imagine the biggest, most colorful street party you've ever seen, then multiply by 10 and you're starting to get the picture. And the best part, it's one of the biggest carnivals in the world, second only to Rio in terms of sheer scale. The party usually kicks off in February, just like Venice, and lasts for a glorious 2 weeks. That's 2 whole weeks of parades, music, dancing, and enough good vibes to last you all year. Just remember to pack your dancing shoes and maybe some earplugs if you're sensitive to noise, because this carnival is not for the faint of heart. And hey, if you're lucky, you might even get to witness the crowning of the Carnival Queen, a spectacle that's even more glamorous than the Oscars, and with fewer celebrities complaining about being slapped. Hold on to your monocles, folks, because we're crossing the pond to jolly old England for the Notting Hill Carnival. Now, I know what you're thinking, Luap, a carnival in London? Isn't that a bit like finding a decent bagel in Los Angeles? But trust me on this one, this carnival is the real deal. We're talking about a massive celebration of Caribbean culture with roots dating back to the 1960s. Picture a sea of colorful costumes, the intoxicating aroma of jerk chicken filling the air, and the sounds of reggae and soca music making you want to move your feet. It's basically like a trip to the Caribbean without the jet lag, unless you count the time difference, of course. The Notting Hill Carnival usually takes place over a long weekend in August, which is perfect because it gives you a few days to recover from all the dancing and Red Stripe beer. And speaking of beer, this carnival is known for its lively atmosphere, so be prepared for large crowds and a whole lot of fun. Now, I know what you're thinking, Luap, can I wear a crown to this one too? And the answer is, why not? Go wild. Just promise me you'll send pictures. Alright folks, bundle up, because we're about to head north to the Great White North, or as the Canadians call it, Canada. Next up on our World Carnival Tour, we've got the Quebec Winter Carnival. This is a big one, people, and when I say big, I mean freezing. Picture this, it's minus 20 degrees, you're wearing more layers than a parfait, and you're surrounded by giant snow sculptures that look more like they belong in Game of Thrones than a theme park. But hey, at least the beer's cold, right? And speaking of cold, the star of the show here is none other than Bonhomme Carnival, a giant snowman with a red hat who looks like he just chugged a gallon of maple syrup. He's like the Canadian Mickey Mouse, but with a much higher tolerance for sub-zero temperatures. This frosty fiesta happens every year in Quebec City, usually around the end of January into early February. So if you don't mind trading your swim trunks for a parka, this is definitely one for the bucket list. Okay, let's hop over the pond to Belgium, shall we? No, not for the waffles, although those are pretty great too. We're here for the Carnival of Binche, and this one, my friends, is truly unique. First of all, it's been recognized by UNESCO, and you know, those folks don't just hand out awards for any old parade. This carnival is all about tradition, history, and, well, throwing oranges. You heard me right, oranges. It's like a giant citrusy food fight. But instead of your little brother, you got these fellas called Geelers to contend with. Now these Geelers, they take their oranges seriously. They dress up in these crazy costumes with these big feathered hats and these creepy wax masks. Imagine a cross between court jester and a scarecrow. And you're kind of getting the idea. They parade through the streets, tossing oranges into the crowd, and if you're lucky, you might just catch one. But fair warning, don't even think about throwing it back. Those Gilles, they mean business. Next up, we're heading to the Caribbean, to the islands of Trinidad and Tobago, for a carnival that's all about music, dancing, and having a darn good time. We're talking about the Trinidad and Tobago Carnival, folks, and trust me, this one is not for the faint of heart. This is a party that starts weeks before the actual carnival dates and doesn't stop until the wee hours of the morning. We're talking about a sea of colorful costumes, feathers, beads, and enough soca music to make your head spin. And if you don't know what soca music is, well, get ready to move those hips because it's impossible to stand still when that beat drops. But the real highlight of this carnival, the thing you absolutely can't miss, is the limbo competition. Picture this, you've got these incredibly limber people contorting their bodies in ways you didn't even know were possible, all to pass under a bar that's getting lower and lower. It's like human origami set to a calypso beat, and it's absolutely mesmerizing. So pack your dancing shoes, grab your sunscreen, and get ready to party Caribbean style. Alright folks, buckle up because we're heading to the heart of the Andes, Oruro, Bolivia, for their incredible carnival. This isn't your average street party. We're talking about a UNESCO masterpiece here, folks. This 10-day extravaganza is a whirlwind of vibrant costumes, traditional dances, and music that'll make you want to salsa even if you have two left feet, like me on a good night. It's a celebration deeply rooted in Bolivian history and culture, and trust me, you can feel it in every beat of the drums. Now, for you calendar marking folks, Oruro Carnival typically kicks off in February or early March. Just picture it, the crisp mountain air filled with music, the streets packed with thousands of revelers. It's an experience that'll stay with you long after the confetti settles. And hey, while you're there, why not try some authentic Bolivian cuisine? I hear the salteñas are to die for. Just maybe not literally. We need you back for the rest of the list of the... Next up, we're hopping over to Germany for the Cologne Carnival, or as the locals say, Kollerlauf. Don't worry, I don't speak German either, but apparently it means something like Cologne above all. This week-long party is known for its lighthearted chaos and infectious energy. Think of it as Oktoberfest, but with costumes, parades, and a whole lot of Kolsch beer. And when I say a whole lot, I mean you might actually turn into a pretzel by the end of it. Now, if you're planning on joining the fun, pack your best fancy dress, because everyone dresses up for Cologne Carnival. We're talking clowns, pirates, superheroes, you name it. It's basically a giant costume party with a German accent. Cologne Carnival usually takes place in February, so start practicing your Kollerlauf and get ready to party like there's no tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, you might need a whole day to recover after this one. Just saying. Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're about to dive into one of the most unique carnivals in the world, Basel Fasnacht in Switzerland. Now, the Swiss are known for their precision and punctuality, but let me tell you, this carnival throws all that out the window. Basel die Fasnacht kicks off fast and through the Paisenkichi as the ungodly hour of 4 a.m. Yes, you heard that right, 4 a.m. on a Monday no less, with the Morgenstrasse. Imagine this, the entire city plunged into darkness, lit only by the glow of thousands of intricately designed lanterns. It's magical, spooky, and just a little bit crazy, kind of like my Uncle Frank after one too many eggnogs. For the next 3 days, Basel transforms into a whirlwind of masked musicians, satirical floats, and confetti fights that would make a piñata jealous. And the best part, everyone's invited to join the fun. Just remember, no selfies with the masked figures. They take their anonymity very seriously. So, if you're looking for a carnival experience that's a little off the beaten path, Basel Fasnacht is the place to be. Just don't forget your alarm clock and maybe pack an extra large broom for all that confetti. Alright, we're jetting off to Italy, everybody, but not Rome, not Venice this time. We're headed to Via Reggio for their carnival. This isn't your grandma's pasta making festival. It's famous for its giant satirical papier-mâché floats. Imagine a giant caricature of, Matt Damon riding a snail. That's the kind of crazy creativity we're talking about. The Via Reggio Carnival happens in February, just like some other little party you might have heard of, Mardi Gras. It lasts for a whole month, so plenty of time to perfect your when in Rome jokes, even though you're not in Rome. Via Reggio is on the coast of Tuscany, so you can enjoy some beautiful beaches and delicious Italian food when you're not busy being amazed by giant politically charged puppets. And let me tell you, these puppets are something else. They're huge, they're intricate, and they're often poking fun at politicians and celebrities. It's like the Oscars, but with more papier-mâché and fewer acceptance speeches. So if you're looking for a carnival that's a little different, a little edgy, and a whole lot of fun, Via Reggio is the place to be. Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're heading to Aalst, Belgium for a carnival that's, how do I put this delicately, a little bit out there. The Aalst Carnival is known for its irreverent, satirical humor, which means it's basically 3 days of non-stop roasting. They make fun of everything and everyone, from politicians to celebrities to, well, you name it. This carnival is definitely not for the easily offended, but if you can take a joke, even if it's a little bit edgy, then you're in for a treat. The Aalst Carnival takes place in February, just before Lent, and it's a chance for people to let loose and have some fun before the more serious season of Lent begins. Aalst itself is a charming town in Flanders, so even if you need a break from the carnival chaos, you can find plenty of beautiful architecture and delicious Belgian waffles to enjoy. Just remember, if you see someone in a costume that seems a little, shall we say, provocative, you've been warned. It's all part of the fun in Aalst. Next stop on our Carnival World Tour is Goa, India, for a celebration that's a vibrant blend of Indian and Portuguese cultures. Goa was a Portuguese colony for centuries, and that influence is still very much alive today, especially during the Goa Carnival. Picture this: colorful parades, elaborate costumes, music, dancing, and enough food to satisfy even the biggest foodie. The Goa Carnival takes place in February or March depending on the year, and it's a non-stop party for 3 days straight. You'll see floats, dancers, musicians and revelers all decked out in bright colors and elaborate costumes, celebrating life and having a good time. And of course, no trip to Goa would be complete without spending some time on the beach. Goa is famous for its beautiful beaches, so make sure you pack your swimsuit and some sunscreen. So if you're looking for a carnival that's a little bit different, a little bit exotic, and a whole lot of fun, add the Goa Carnival to your list. It's a party you won't want to miss. Bonjour from Nice, France. Our next stop on our Carnival World Tour brings us to the French Riviera, where the Nice Carnival is about to paint the town every color but beige. This is one of the biggest carnivals in the world, drawing over 1 million visitors every year, and for good reason. I mean, who doesn't love a good parade, especially when it involves giant, colorful floats, street dancing, and enough confetti to make you sneeze glitter for a week? The Nice Carnival takes place over 2 weeks in February, culminating on Mardi Gras, or Fat Tuesday if you're American and like pancakes. The highlight of the carnival is the Bataille de Fleurs, or Battle of Flowers, where performers on elaborately decorated floats throw thousands of flowers into the crowd. You might want to bring your allergy meds for this one, folks, but the Nice Carnival isn't just about flowers. There's also music, dancing, and parades featuring giant puppets known as grosses têtes. And let me tell you, these heads are really something. They're huge, colorful, and often depict satirical characters, kind of like a French version of Spitting Image, but with more baguettes and fewer bad teeth. So, if you're looking for a carnival that's got it all, from beautiful flowers to giant, slightly terrifying puppets, the Nice Carnival is the place to be. Next up, we're headed to Barranquilla, Colombia for a carnival that's hotter than a jalapeno eating contest in July. The Barranquilla Carnival is a 4-day fiesta that takes place in February or March depending on when Lent falls. And trust me, this is one party you don't want to miss. The Barranquilla Carnival is a celebration of Colombian culture with music, dancing, and costumes that will knock your socks off. One of the most popular events is the Battle of Flowers, where women in elaborate costumes parade through the streets, throwing flowers at the crowd. Just try not to get beamed by a rogue rose. Those things can sting. Another highlight is the Great Parade of Cumbia, which features traditional Colombian music and dance. Imagine a conga line longer than the line for the bathroom at a Bieber concert, and you're getting close. And speaking of music, you can't talk about the Barranquilla Carnival without mentioning the music. Cumbia, salsa, and merengue rule the airwaves, and the party goes on all night long. So, if you're looking for a carnival that's as hot as the Colombian sun, with music that'll make you want to move your hips and enough feathers and sequins to make Liberace blush, the Barranquilla Carnival is the place to be. Hold on to your sombreros, folks, because we're headed south of the border for the Mazatlan Carnival in Mazatlan, Mexico. This fiesta has been going strong for over a century and is known for its vibrant parades, lively music, and, of course, tequila. Lots and lots of tequila. Don't worry, we'll edit out that embarrassing moment when you try to salsa and end up doing the worm. One of the highlights of the Mazatlan Carnival is the Quema del Mal humor, or burning of bad mood. It's basically a giant effigy burning, which is always a good time, right? It's a symbolic way to get rid of all the negative energy from the past year, kind of like therapy, but with more fire. The Mazatlan Carnival also features a naval combat show, which is exactly what it sounds like. A mock battle between ships, complete with fireworks and cannons. It's like something straight out of Pirates of the Caribbean, but with fewer Johnny Depp impersonators. And if you're feeling brave, you can even join in on the fun by participating in the flower fight, where everyone throws flour at each other. So grab your maracas, practice your best arriba, and get ready to party like there's no mañana at the Mazatlan Carnival. Alright, we're heading to Spain now, but not just any Spain. We're talking Sitges, a beautiful coastal town just south of Barcelona. And let me tell you something, they know how to party in Sitges. I mean, they really know how to party. The Sitges Carnival is famous for its outrageous costumes, wild parades, and let's just say a very open-minded attitude. Think Mardi Gras, but with a Spanish twist. And when I say twist, I mean like a full-on flamenco dancer spinning so fast, you'd think they were possessed. This carnival usually kicks off in February and lasts for a solid week. That's 7 days of non-stop partying, dancing, and probably a few siestas thrown in for good measure. And listen, you haven't lived until you've seen a drag queen in full regalia passed out face down in a plate of paella. Just saying. So, if you're looking for a carnival that's a little bit naughty, a little bit nice, and a whole lot of fun, then book your tickets to Sitges. Just make sure your health insurance covers excessive sangria consumption. Trust me on that one. Alright folks, we're heading over to Europe. And no, not to those fancy schmancy places they show in those cologne ads. This is Greece, baby. Home of the Olympics, the gyros, and apparently a carnival that could rival Zeus himself in terms of pure awesomeness. The Patras Carnival, held in, you guessed it, Patras, Greece, is one wild ride. This ain't your grandma's knitting circle, folks. We're talking parades, costumes, music, dancing, the whole shebang. And it goes on for weeks leading up to Lent. Talk about commitment. Now, I know what you're thinking. Lou app, I don't speak Greek. What am I gonna do at this carnival? First of all, brush up on your Zorba the Greek moves. That's always a good start. Second, they say laughter is a universal language. And trust me, you'll be laughing your toga off at this carnival. Plus, think of all the delicious Greek food you can eat. It's a win-win. So if you're looking for a carnival experience that's a little different, a little louder, and a whole lot of fun, book your tickets to Patras. Just promise me you'll yell Opa at least once for me, will ya? Hold on to your sombreros, amigos, because we're heading south of the border, but not to that border. We're talking about Uruguay, the often overlooked but oh so charming neighbor of Argentina. And let me tell you, they know how to throw a fiesta down there. The Montevideo Carnival, held in the capital city of Montevideo, is like a love child between Rio and New Orleans. You've got the vibrant costumes, the pulsating music, the dancing in the streets, and a whole lot of passion. They even have a parade dedicated to candombe, a percussion-heavy music and dance style with African roots. It's like a history lesson and a dance party all rolled into one. Now, I know what you're thinking. Lou app, is it safe to dance in the streets in a foreign country? Look, I'm not saying it's a good idea to go around doing the Macarena in a dark alley at 3 a.m. But the Montevideo Carnival is a family-friendly affair with people from all walks of life coming together to celebrate. Plus, after a few glasses of their local Tanat wine, you'll be brave enough to tango with a bull. So if you're looking for a carnival experience that's a little off the beaten path, a little more laid back, and a whole lot of fun, pack your bags for Montevideo. Just don't blame me if you come back with a newfound love for tango and an irresistible urge to wear feathers. Well, folks, there you have it. the top 20 carnivals from around the world that'll make you want to pack your bags and say hola to your inner party animal. We've seen feathers, we've seen floats, we've seen costumes that would make Lady Gaga blush. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you're already planning your next carnival adventure, and let's be honest, who isn't? And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more awesome travel content. For all you overachievers out there, you'll find links to maps and more information about each carnival in the description below. And be sure to let me know in the comments which carnival is your absolute favorite or which one you're dying to visit. Until next time, keep traveling, stay safe, and remember the world is your backyard. Thanks for watching from me, Lou App at Traveling.